guys, this is Stephanie and I am Stacks on Stacks on Stacks. Today I'm coming to you guys with my spring TBR. I was just telling somebody the other day how much I like doing these like seasonal TBRs because then I have like 3 months to read like 20 books and I never read them all. But I feel much better about the 3-month time period. When it's the 1-month time period, I feel like I never read those books in that month. So what the what? This way I'm a little bit better with the whole TBR thing. So I had 21 books on my winter TBR and I read 11 of them and I feel pretty good about that. My goal was to read at least half of those books. So the ones I did read, I have The Readers of Broken Wheel Recommend by Katrina Bavald, which I didn't really like that much. Poison Study from Maria V. Schneider, which I did like, but I had some problems with. Codename Verity by Elizabeth Wein. I did like this one. The Forgetting by Sharon Cameron, and I mostly liked this one. The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. I didn't love this book. Ugh! I also read Hero of Ages, right there. N or M, which is, right about here. The Disappearances, which I can't find. Ironic, I know. 1984, which I got from the library, so I don't have it. Red Rising, which I loaned to somebody, so I don't have it. And Cricket Kingdom, which I'm too lazy to go get. So the 10 books that I did not get read are Graceling, Kiss of Deception, Everland, The Assassin's Blade, Because You Love to Hate Me, Illuminae, Violetta, Jurassic Park, and Holiday and Death. So I feel pretty good about what I did get read. I got one of my classics read and I got one of my finish this books read. I'm only carrying over a few books into my spring TBR, not all 10, because my mood has changed, of course. So I want to read something else. So I actually have 23 books for the spring, so buckle up. We got a long list. First one I am going to carry over is Jurassic Park, and this is by Michael Crichton. And it is one that I really do want to get read, so I think I might give it a shot for this spring. It's a book that totally interests me, and then I want to do a book versus movie because I remember the movie. So I will rewatch it though, no worries. I'm also going to be dragging over from the winter The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. I have not read any Sarah J. Maas ever. I've been told she's amazing and she is just raved about, and so I feel like I should read something by her. And I even own quite a few of her books too. I just haven't read them. I'm definitely going to read Catwoman, and that comes out, I don't know, August, something like that. I'll definitely read that one, but I'll start with this. My last carryover is Illuminae, and this is by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. Everybody who's read this book has loved this book, and I started it and I got, I don't know, a quarter of the way into it and I was just like, eh. So I don't know. I tried the audiobook because people were like, oh, the audiobook is great. And I didn't like it because like they would have these emails and I'd be like, email 7.59er11 IRWXCTW5939er. And I'm like, just breeze over those numbers, okay? You're killing me here. And I didn't love it. Another person told me to just read it. And another person told me to read along with the audiobook. I don't know. I want to read this. I want to like this, but I don't know. I will try and read it. My other finished the book, The City of Lost Souls by Cassandra Clare. I left off, this is the 5th book in the City of Bones series, almost a trilogy series. And I left off on this one probably like a year and a half ago. I literally read like probably a third of it and I just put it down. And it's because, I think it's because I don't love Clary as a character. She irritates me. She's kind of whiny and teenage girl, which I know she's a teenage girl, but she irritates me. And then there are characters I love, like Isabel and Simon. So I always like the scenes with them, and anything without them, I'm like, oh. I'm also not really a fan of Jace. He's kind of a guy who treats girls like crap, and I don't appreciate that. And since this is kind of a Jace central book, I'm like, but I will read this one and the next one, I don't know when, so that I can start getting caught up on the series. I heard they only get better, and I would believe that because I really did enjoy The Infernal Devices. So this is carrying over as one of my finish the books. The 2 classics that I've decided that I would like to read this spring are going to be Dorian Gray. This is by Oscar Wilde, and this is such a pretty copy. It has this thing, this little bungee cord that I'm not crazy about, but the book itself is so pretty. Basically, this is about a guy who makes a deal with the devil. I don't really know who he makes a deal with, but he makes it so his portrait will age and he will not. And of course, we all know that's going to go wrong. And it's not a very long book either, so I am looking forward to actually reading a classic that isn't written by Agatha Christie. The other classic I'm going to be trying to read this spring is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I think I said that right. This is one that Happy Elephant Books did a review on, and I was like, oh, this sounds so good. And then I remembered I've seen the movie, but I think I'm getting it confused with Jane Eyre, which I will have to read that one too eventually soon. But Rebecca's going on my list for the spring. The next one I would like to read is New York, and this is by Edward Rutherford. And this is like a history of New York City. So it starts when New York City was actually New Amsterdam, and then it kind of runs it through modern day. I want to say it ends at like 2006 or 2012 or something like that. And I think it kind of follows a family, like a lineage type of thing. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know it's a great historical novel and it's not small, and it's a library book. So what I'm gonna do is read what I can, and then I'll probably have to take it back. This is actually the second time I've gotten it, and I haven't made much progress on it because I feel like I have so many other books I want to read, but I'm actually going to New York City in July, so I have to read it before then. The next book I decided to read this spring is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. Now, I've also never read any Holly Black that I can recall. This has actually been getting pretty good reviews. I got it in a book box, I'm not sure which one, and I was a little bit interested just by reading just by the synopsis, but then the reviews have actually been pretty good. So I think I'm gonna give this one a go this next month, maybe in May, I'm not sure. Basically, it's about two sisters, I think, and they are human. They're being raised by fae, like royalty, so they're like in a castle, and there's a prince I think is not much older than our main character, and he's a bit of a douchebag to her, hence the cruel prince. I'm not really sure much else. I have been told the main character is not all that likable, and sometimes that is like a deal for me. Like, you gotta like your main character and you gotta care about what's happening to them. Otherwise, I tend to close the book. So we'll see where this one leaves me. The next two books I'm very excited about. I think they will be a 5-star read, so I'm quite excited. The first one is going to be The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson. This is the first book in the second trilogy, in the second Mistborn trilogy, and boy, I'm getting glare on that one. I don't know what this is about. I know it takes place in the Mistborn universe like 200-300 years after Hero of Ages ended, and I loved that book so much that I'm like, this is gonna be great, and I'm hoping it's great because, yes, I'm hoping it's great. It's weird, these books are quite a bit smaller than those, but I don't know. They're probably still great because they're Brandon Sanderson. The next is also Brandon Sanderson, Warbreaker. And this is one, also, I love this cover too. Like, it's so pretty. I love that. I want to have a colored scarf out of my mouth. That would be beautiful. And I am going to be doing a buddy read with this book with Hardback Haven. She has a great channel. Go check her out. She's fantastic. And she's been reading her way through the Brandon Sanderson books, and I was like, we should buddy read one. So the month of April, we are going to be buddy reading this. I'm not 100% sure how, like, if we're gonna set a certain amount of chapters every few days or something, or what we're gonna do. This one is a chunker, but I'm not afraid of it. Generally, when Brandon Sanderson rates big books, it just means more of a good thing. And the next two books I have to read are Golden Sun by Pierce Brown and Morning Star, also by Pierce Brown. I was told that I had to read these back to back, so I had to wait to get this back from the person I loaned it to so that I could read these back to back. No, not this one. Get this one back from the person I loaned it to. So now I can read these back to back. I am pretty excited. I'm probably going to dive into these very soon. I'm not going to lie, like probably by the end of the week, I will start this one because I've been kind of chomping at the bit to read it, but I was told I had to have both books together because you're going to want to read them that way, so I'm going to read them that way. These are the second and third books in the Red Rising trilogy. There is another book called Iron Gold, but I think it's a different set of characters. I don't think it's part of the trilogy. I think it's just in the same world, but I don't really know that much. Next, we have Time Ships by Stephen Baxter. Now, this is a book that I do not think is well known at all. This is a book my brother-in-law loaned to me, and basically it picks up where the time machine leaves off. So obviously it's not the same author. Orson Welles didn't write this book, but it has been acclaimed by a lot of people that it really has the same feel and everything. And my brother-in-law said it's one of his favorite books. I am a little nervous about it because The Time Machine was very, very wordy, and I think if it would have been more than 118 pages, the wordiness would have gotten to me, but it wasn't, so I was okay. Whereas this one is over 500 pages. So I'm a little nervous, but I'm hoping I'll like it, and I'm hoping to read it this spring. Next, we have The Martian by Andy Weir. I've been told by so many people I need to read this book. I don't love the cover because I just don't like movie covers very much, but I like Matt Damon, so I guess it's better than other movie covers. Basically, it's about a guy who gets stranded on Mars and has to like sustain his own life while he's there and see if people will come back and get him and all sorts of things. I've seen the movie. I liked the movie quite a bit. I was told if I liked the movie, I love the book. I was told it was funny, and I'm like, well, okay. So I do want to get to this one soon. I've actually been wanting to read it for a while, but this is going to happen. And I threw some short books in there because, let's be serious, if I'm going to be reading half of these 23 books, I'm going to need some short ones. First one I have is The Girl of Fire and Thorns, and these are 3 short stories: The Shadow Cats, The Scattered Mountain, and The King's Guard. And this is a trilogy I read a year, 2 years ago maybe, and I really did like it. It's by Ray Carson, and we're following a girl who is supposed to become queen. Like, she's been married off. She was a princess, and she gets married off to another country, you know, like as a treaty or whatever. And she was just kind of a, you know, a piece, an object or whatever. And then amidst the book, she kind of finds herself and who she is and finds self-worth, and it's a wonderful series. But these are 3 short stories that go with it. And I also have Every Heart a Doorway by Shanae McGuire. Now, this is a book that has had super mixed reviews, so I am interested to see if I like it or not. Some people have loved it, some people have hated it, and I know it's a trilogy of tiny books, and I like tiny books, so I'll probably start with the first one. The next book I would like to read this spring is Wool by Hugh Howey. I'm not sure what about this screamed spring to me, but something did, and I'm like, yes, I will read it this spring. I'm a little nervous again because I haven't heard a lot about it, just mainly from April, Sarah, and I think one other person, and they've raved about it and said it was great, but at the same time, I will admit my spring is very busy, so I don't know if I really have time to read all of these, but this is one I think I'm going to try and prioritize. And I really don't know what all it's about. I think it's like a dystopian future and everybody lives in this big silo and somebody gets punished and sent outside. I don't know. And I have no idea where wool comes in at all. The next book that I would like to read this spring is The Demon King by Cinda Williams Chima. This is one I know next to nothing about. It is a high fantasy book. That is all I know. And there are a few series that are set in this world. I've been told it's great, she's a great writer, and that I will love it. That's all I know. And I think I want to read these. I also have a few books that I don't own that I'd like to read. This spring I'd also like to read A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I didn't write down who it's by, so it's a mystery, Charlie Brown. I also don't know what that's about, but Game of Thrones loved it, so I'm going to try and read it. I also would like to read Beartown. I didn't write down any authors on these, so you're just going to have to look those up. I want to read Beartown. I don't remember what it's about, but at the time when I heard about it, I was like, yes. I would like to read The Guernsey Literacy and Potato Peel Pie Society. Oh, I would like to read that this spring too. I'm going to be spending some time with my friend who recommended it in June, so I want to read it before then. I would like to read Wicked Lovely. That was suggested by the wonderful Brews and Reviews. And I think it's one I'm going to pick up, and it looks like a pretty quick read actually, so I was like, I could squeeze it in. And the last one is going to be Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. And it's just a book that I've heard about. It sounds like oddly Britishly dull. No offense to British people, but there's that British dull book, but somehow super interesting, and I want to read it. So that is it, you guys. Those are the 23 books that I want to read this spring. I feel overwhelmed just talking about all of them. I'm like, oh my goodness, Stephanie, why are you picking 23 books during like your busiest time of year? You have no extra time. You have this and this and this and this. So much panic. But then I realized, you know what? If I don't do it, there are no consequences. Nothing bad happens if I cannot read half of these books. So it's okay. It's fine. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please comment down below if you've read any of these books and what your opinions are, because I would love to hear about these books. I'm hoping they're good opinions, really. I mean, if it's a bad opinion, I might still read the book. I might be like, ooh, I don't know, maybe I will. Who knows? Don't forget to like and don't forget to subscribe. I post videos on Tuesdays. I post videos on Fridays, so you can find me here then. Goodbye.